First, this week's one-on-one in 10 with Moana from Māori TV's Te Ao with Moana. Kia ora, Moana. Welcome to the show and thank you for being available to the Fourth Estate. Your democracy is grateful. Oh, no, I think she's muted.
How am I doing that? What? Me? What? Am I muting? Can you hear me?
We can. Comrade, your interview last night with Winston on Te Ao with Moana was a remarkably aggressive affair where Winston seemed incapable of taking a compliment from you and he only wanted to fight. Is this the polarisation of New Zealand politics?
I think he is he's very clear on what he's doing. What I wanted to do was really unpack some of the contradictions that I see.
Yeah.
And I think all of us see. He is one of the most challenging people to interview because of the special tactics that he employs.
Yes.
It's very, very hard to get an answer out of him. You might have noticed that I asked him about 7 or 8 times about Gaza. But yeah, he's full of contradictions because he's like, there were moments where he was like, yes, this is the most challenging, the toughest geopolitical era that we've ever been in. Every word counts. You have to be careful. And I say to my colleagues, don't think out loud. And you see this fantastic statesman, and then he morphs into this, well, he is a dickhead, kind of a thing. He talks about how we need targeted funding, or where there's need, we need to put funding into it. And he does it. He does it for Māori Women's Welfare League and for Māori Wardens, but he disagrees that it needs to be in there for health. So there was just so many contradictions that I, was trying to unpack there. And I think that, it was quite a challenging exercise, that.
Were you surprised with how aggressive he became during the interview?
Well, it's funny because when I walked in, I would say that we have a warm kind of kia ora, how are you, how's things? So-and-so says hi. And then as soon as the cameras went on, I went, kia ora. He's like, kia ora.
Oh, right.
Just like that.
Yeah.
But then there's moments where it's kind of like he's sort of acting sometimes and he's playing to his audience. There's those parts where he does it's almost like one of those stump speeches and there's only one party and we're going to take it back and that's New Zealand first. And, it takes all of me to, not go, bravo, you got it in there, you did, But he also employs that tactic, which is trying to make it have viewers think that just by a reporter asking a question, you're challenging their integrity, you're challenging their principles, you're biased, just by asking the question, which I think is a really a populist and terrible trend.
You compared his careful selection of words when he is being our top diplomat, and then you lined that up with the language that he uses on the domestic front. Did that contrast make him pause when you actually put it to him that way?
I'm just trying to think. I mean, no, he just kind of like, because he sort of says things like, and that's how we got into that conversation, because he's talking about like discipline. We need discipline, blah, blah, blah. Then that's when I said, but you said this, and he's like, he didn't really pause that much on that particular one. I think he's got his set pieces and they are, I thought it was kind of revealing in just the some of the things that he plays with, it's quite challenging.
How can he go from attacking immigrants on the one hand while changing the overseas investment rules with the other hand? Do New Zealand First supporters care about that hypocrisy?
I think people aren't really aware of that particular amendment that's been proposed, and the fact that the onus will go on the government to have to prove within about 15 days that a particular investment does not meet national interests, as opposed to the flip before. And from what little I know about it, there are potential repercussions there, not just constitutional, but also real life impact in terms of forestry investment, the kind of environmental stuff. So, but the way that it gets framed sometimes is always around the economics. There'll be employment for people. I tell you, the bit that I was quite shocked on was when I talked about, how many people are taken off overseas. And then he framed it as an overseas experience.
Yeah, I was really surprised that he tried to downplay that as much as he did. You challenged him on some of the terrible things he has said, and he refused to acknowledge that. Do you think he really doesn't believe there was anything disgraceful about referring to Rawiri's facial tattoos as scribbles?
I don't know. It lands with a lot of people.
Ugh. How ugly is that?
It is. It is so demeaning and it's so disappointing. But that kind of thing, just watching some of the feedback that's coming back after that interview too. What I really hate, Martyn, I hate it when people fire shots at Winston or me for what we look like, or you're just thick as shit or whatever, that kind of stuff. I'd love people just to stick to the argument. Well, some of the stuff that's coming out now is like really, really nasty.
Yeah.
And it is very misogynist. It's very, it's a woman. It's all that carry on.
Yeah.
And there's some nasty stuff coming out about Winston too, which we're able to sort of try and get rid of. But yeah, it cultivates that kind of a reaction.
Winston has put the boot into Māori time and time and time again, and he's built a political brand on that. Why do you think he has such an uneasy relationship with his identity?
Well, he comes from a very strong Māori family.
Yeah.
Very respected, the Peters whānau. Of course, in 96, I mean, he stood on a Māori seat, and way before that, 99-6, he took it all out. I'm just not quite sure what he believes in, Martyn, and that was what I was trying to ask him. Like, we kind of understand what he doesn't believe in, but actually it's unclear, because he's been 37 years in Parliament.
Right.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
And he's been respected for various, his foreign affairs portfolio, how he's managed that.
Yeah.
But if you look back at it, well, we can think of the gold card. There's a lot of political capital he's had. I did ask him about what his legacy would be, and that didn't go down well.
No, it didn't.
He twisted around. But I mean, I'm saying, like, John Key's legacy was, stability, and Jacinda's was kindness. What would yours be? And that just, did not go down well at all. But it is an interesting thing to think, well, what is it at the end of the day? He's got so much. There's so much about Winston that is compelling to so many people. And he has got some wonderful skills. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens next year.
At one stage, it seemed he had become almost Trump-like in demanding you apologise for grievances he's got about people not praising him enough. Did that feel strange as a journalist?
Well, I was kind of just sort of thinking, are you serious? What are you doing? He got, I thought he was, well, I just kind of like, I'm just skeptical all the time. And he kind of looked like he was really, really angry. And then I'm thinking, I'm just processing and thinking, actually, I didn't say that.
Yes, that's right.
But yeah, and people can see that I didn't say that. No, some people can see that I didn't say that. But it's an opportunity, I guess, to position, for the interviewee to position themselves as being got at, being a victim, being unfairly attacked, when actually all you're trying to do as the interviewer is like ask the question.
Yeah. Was he as gruff when the cameras stopped rolling? I mean, do you think it was an act, or was he really that obtuse?
No, he was fine when the cameras stopped rolling, and there were bits of time on there when he was fine.
Yeah.
He just has these moments, and I'm thinking, what's going on there? It's like you're standing outside the situation. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. He is as I say, he's a very challenging person to interview. And yeah, it's all going now. It's funny too because there was sort of little moments where he'd say something, and when I talked about how ordinary people, it's hard out there for ordinary people.
Yeah.
And he was basically saying, yes, well, Acton National, they paraphrasing, but they didn't see the writing on the wall, but we did, or they underestimated it, but we didn't. I thought, oh, we're just distancing ourselves a little here. We're on our campaign trail. So
finally, how do you keep asking the hard questions to one of New Zealand's oldest and most cunning politicians, and do it with such professionalism?
Well, Martyn, I look at my interviews and I think, oh, I should have asked that. Oh, man, I should have hit him back with that, All I can see is the kind of bits where I didn't, do as well as I could. But it's so difficult when you're in the moment.
Totally.
And I would say that with Winston Peters and David Seymour are the two most, you would agree,
Yes,
the two
yes.
most difficult people to interview.
Yeah.
And you can stand back afterwards and go, damn, I should have hit him with that one. But it's over Clover.
I think it was one of the most important political interviews of the year, and we're so grateful that you did it. Thank you, comrade. You can see Moana's amazing interview with Winston in full on Māori TV. Good luck. We hope to have you on the show again soon.
Kia ora, Martyn. All the best.
Be well. Thank you.